guys know what this load is, because I already told you. So pay attention. You guys are going 3,000 foot a second. I'm going to go one click left. Well,
it feels like you're getting punched in the face.
Got it again. I think I got it where it belongs. The time I flipped it up, it hit too. Well, guys, as long as I got the range to myself, thought I'd take an opportunity here to run my mouth a little bit, do a little range rant. Guys, we got some serious trouble. The world and this nation, this country particularly, has all taken a turn for the surreal. It is like the freaking Twilight Zone, and that ain't no kidding. There's a lot of very bad people at work right now trying to do their worst to bring down God's creation, just to put it quite simply. And I know we all see the people that are up front, you know, that we start visible, you know, like that nitwit Biden and God, that woman he's got. Oh my God, wow, talk about two people that are completely unqualified, incompetent at what they're doing. Unbelievable. But these people are serious, guys, and one thing they do is stick together. We have a government that is illegally in power. They have managed to get themselves installed into power by virtue of a criminally fraudulent election. And anybody with eyes to see and ears to hear knows that. But for the mainstream media guys are part of it. Actually, they are fundamental and instrumental in the whole mechanism of what happened, what transpired. These people keep accusing everybody else of doing the things that they themselves are guilty of. This whole COVID thing was brilliant, actually. The whole thing was freaking brilliant. Like I said over 3 years ago on one of my YouTube videos, that if they could not get Donald Trump out of office by hook or crook, they were going to collapse the economy, which they did. I just didn't realize the manner of which they would do it and how ruthless and evil it was, the method they were going to use. Unbelievable, actually. But so here we are, we're dealing with this shit a year and a half later. It served its purpose. It got Trump out of office, provided an environment to produce a fraudulent criminal election. That was a stolen election, guys. You know, you jackasses over at YouTube, you want to take my channel down for that, you go right the fuck ahead. I don't care. But guys, for real Americans, it's time to pull your heads out of your behinds. It's time to wake up. You have, as I've always said in the past, if you can't be on the fence, because a side will be picked for you. And what is going to transpire in the next 2 years or up until the midterm elections, not to mention the next presidential election, is going to be horrendous. These people know they're on borrowed time. I hope they're on borrowed time. I can't believe that at this point, in light of what they're doing and what's obvious, that these types of people would continue to be elected. But I don't know, somehow they do. It's quite amazing to me. But we got trouble, guys. We got trouble. All you jackasses, all you loser, nitwit, dimwit, halfwit, pinheads, pencil neck, s'mores eating, so-called liberal is too good of a word for you people. You are the most fucked up people I've ever seen in my life. You guys, and you're all the people that you look up to are all complete assholes. They just really are. And unfortunately, these so-called liberals, they're too fucking ignorant to even understand that they don't have enough common sense for their own self-preservation. Everybody wants to, you know, I always hear the guys like Hannity and stuff. Hannity's hard to watch. I agree with pretty much everything he says, but he's just tough to listen to. He just continues to reiterate the same stuff over and over and over again. Anyways, they all say, well, history shows us that communism and socialism, of course, these guys, the people that are in charge now, these are hardcore communists. They say that history shows us that socialism and communism ends up always failing. Well, what history also shows us is the fact that the only way these people are ever removed from power is by force. And that's just the brutal bottom line of that whole thing. They're not giving it up, guys, because I don't think at this point in time they've figured out how to rig the elections. I fully intend that they will continue to try to do that. And, of course, you can see all the states that are trying to create laws now to prevent that. They're all racist and this and that. Can you believe what they did with these people are out of their minds, guys. When I say this, I do not mean this figuratively. These people are insane. They are insane. There is some kind of a mass insanity that is going around, and it's grabbed actually tens of millions of Americans. And fundamental in that, once again, is the mainstream media, lying to them and feeding them all the bullshit. You know, the thing about it is these, I tell you what, at this point in time, unless you want this thing to go kinetic, which in my mind, try to extrapolate it out to its conclusion, I think kinetic energy is going to end up being required. But in the meantime, you see, because you can't argue issues with these people, you might as well be talking to the freaking wall, arguing issues with these people. One, they don't know anything about the issues. All they know is what they've been brainwashed to believe by the mainstream media. What I contend is that being that these people are so emotionally attached to everything, right? They didn't give a damn about all the great things that Donald Trump did for this country. They just care, well, they don't like him. Well, I got news for them. The presidential election is not a popularity contest. You don't have to like the guy. But you do need to vote, as Eisenhower said, only a knowledgeable and informed citizenry is able to mesh the things that come with our freedoms and our great military power. And he also said that the rise of the military-industrial complex is a grave threat to our nation, as we can see right now. You watch this nitwit Biden or whoever's running his show. Of course, the people that are in charge, you don't even know. You don't see their faces. The people you see on television, all the so-called representatives and senators, they are all just bit players in the bigger scheme. Ultimately, this is satanic. This is godlessness, and where you see godlessness, you see lawlessness. The Democratic Party is the party of the ends justify the means. They are capable of any kind of ruthless activity. You've been warned about this. The American public has been warned about this for decades by previous presidents. But apparently most of the Americans in this country are asleep at the wheel, whether you be liberals or whether you be the so-called conservatives. I hate those labels. I'm an American, guys. But for the most part, we all just assume that other people were taking care of business on our behalf. Well, they were taking care of business, but not on our behalf. What we have now is we have a government that is in power, that was put in power through treasonous activities, primarily by the Democrats. And I don't give the Republicans a pass either, because they're just kind of got to close a blind eye to it, and they want to put up enough opposition vocally to try to get them, see if they can continue to get reelected. But in honesty, these guys are as worthless as tits on a boar hog too. They really are. But at any rate, guys, what's happening is an absolute travesty. Don't kid yourself. I talked to you about this, the variant of the coronavirus. Yeah, that's all very disarming, isn't it, to say it's a variant? That's very cool, isn't it? Well, who's to say that the Chinese didn't send another virus over here? That's an attack, guys. This was an act of war against the United States by China. You think those people don't have a clue what they're doing over there? That they're incompetent and just able to, look, it got out some bats and some squirrels and whatever it was? No, this was an intentional attack. Think about the timing of it in relation to the 2020 election and everything that was going down in regard to the Democrats and the DNC, the mainstream media. This is all, it was brilliant. The plan is freaking brilliant. Now, mind you, it took them a few years because they never expected. The last thing they thought was Trump would get elected. They thought Hillary was going to get in and they would finish the job. Well, Trump got in and derailed their little plan for a few years, but it took them a couple of years to get their shit together. But they came up with this goddamn pandemic thing, and it has served a lot of different purposes, actually. And don't kid yourself. You got this jackass Gates and Fauci who have patents on these certain types of viruses. And what do they call it? Gain of function. What that is literally weaponizing these viruses to become more lethal and contagious to human beings. That's what that nice term gain of function means. And the Chinese military, well, that's the activity they were engaged in. This was a military style attack. If you think that the war, we're already in World War III, but if you think World War III, it may come to it yet. If you think it's going to be fought like World War II with guns and planes and bombs and this, all that, and it will probably come to that eventually. But what at the level it's being fought on now, to great effect, is on the biological level and the cyber world. We are in World War III already, guys. Whether you can wrap your head around that or not, most people can't. But it's been ongoing now for, well, actually since Trump got elected, I think is when it really got into high gear. This administration is obviously bought and paid for by the Chinese. And as such, consider the way they're going to act. When you keep that in mind, you no longer have to ask why or how. It still amazes me how many of these idiotic people scratch their heads and ask, well, why would they do this, or why would they do that, or how do they do this, or how do they do that? You know, I can't go into all the details. I do quite a bit of time reading and studying different things, and so I think I have a fairly good base of knowledge about this stuff. But we are in some deep shit, guys. The American citizen is in the target area. And don't kid yourself, all you minorities out there, you Latinos and black people. One, there's no such thing as a African American. Okay, unless they just came over, immigrated to this country from Africa. There is no such thing as an African American. There's no such thing as a Mexican American, unless they came in here illegally, which there's a lot of that, among other things. But these people are going to continue to ratchet this up. They're going to push this thing about the vaccine. Remember, this vaccine, it's not a vaccine. This is a biological experimental piece of shit. Keep in mind, remember how they went and they had to put down hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and all the therapeutic treatments? You know why they had to do that? One, because Trump just mentioned the hydroxychloroquine word. That's reason right there to put that down. But you realize that this vaccine, it's not really a vaccine, is only authorized for use as an emergency option if there is no other options. Meaning, if they brought it out, the hydroxychloroquine was a therapeutic use that would help defeat this pandemic thing, along with your vitamin D and all that stuff, then they legally could not have used this vaccine because it is authorized only for emergency use if there is no other options. Keep that in mind. And now what you're seeing is these goofball Democrats and the useless, lame dick, limp-wristed Republicans. They're talking about, now they're talking about their budget, their new budget, $3+ trillion. Let me tell you what's going on right there, guys. These are the thieves trying to decide how they're going to divide up the spoils of what they're going to steal from you. This is the biggest theft in America, in the world history. This is the ongoing biggest theft in the world history. And it's going to continue, but nope, we couldn't keep Trump in there, could we now? If Trump was still in office, I don't care if you like him or not, I actually like the guy. He talks like a normal person. People have been so used and so trained to listen to this politispeak in such a certain way, all the words are couched, and everybody thinks it's all really nice. So you get somebody up there that actually talks like a normal person, and nobody knows how to wrap their head around it. But I actually like Trump. I think Trump is a guy that you could go out and have a hell of a good afternoon with, to be honest with you. And if anybody you were to find out from people that actually work with the man, say he's a very generous and kind person. Although, when he was running for president, he had to do what he had to do because he's the only guy out there that I believe actually has the interests of the American people at heart. The American citizen has got a target on its back, guys, and the African Americans and the Hispanics and other minorities, you're just being used as tools. You're being used as tools against the white Christian American. And they're going to structurally take this apart. They're going to dismantle the fabric of this nation piece by piece, and they've already been doing that, if we let them. But the point of it being is, guys, that you got to speak out. You can't be afraid to speak the truth. And I do, and I take a lot of heat for it from different sources and people, to be honest with you. But I don't care. It is what it is. As the saying goes, you don't fuck with an old man who's got nothing to lose. So anyways, guys, that's kind of my rant for the day. I think I've gone off on long enough. I think it's time to put this thing away and maybe go get some breakfast at Diner 62. All right, guys, this is Lencac over and out.